I wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast talking about the biggest mistakes we see when selecting a local functional practitioner. And if you're here right now, I know you're ready to take a functional approach using functional lab testing, digging into targeted diet and lifestyle changes. I want to make sure that if you decide to go to a local practitioner, what mistakes we regularly see so you don't then waste time and waste money doing the wrong thing. So excited for you to listen to today's episode. I regularly speak with 5 to 10 couples per week who are struggling to have their baby. And although we want to help everyone, we only have 4 spots available per month to work with us. I would like to invite you and your partner to a Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call. And this call is for you if you meet at least one of these criteria. You've been trying to get pregnant for at least 2 years. You've been through at least one failed IUI or IVF. This calls for action takers. If you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. If you're seriously considering working with us, go to FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. That's FabFertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on Book a Free Call. Then you'll be all booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. One theme that keeps coming up with the couples in our FabFertile couples coaching program is sleep. Whether it's insomnia, having a hard time falling asleep, waking up at night, or feeling tired when we wake up, sleep is critical for fertility and hormones. And that's why I'm so excited to have Blue Blocks as our podcast sponsor. So we're exposed to blue and green light from our phones, our tablets, our computers, indoor lights, and more. And this exposure impacts our melatonin production. And melatonin is essential for both female and male fertility. It helps determine the frequency and duration of our cycle and impacts sperm. There's lots of blue light blocking glasses on the market, but the ones from Blue Blocks, they've actually compared other popular brands, and Blue Blocks block 100% of blue and green light while other brands fall short. So I have their sleep glasses. They have red lenses, and the ones I have are a little translucent frame, and they're so stylish and really cool. And so they eliminate 100% of the blue and green light in the 400 nanometer to 550 nanometer range. So this is the exact range that has been shown in clinical studies to disrupt melatonin and negatively impact your sleep. So all you do is wear your sleep glasses after sunset until it's time for bed, and you'll notice improved sleep after just one use. And it's also cool to use when you're flying for managing jet lag. So I got to say I was a little skeptical about the noticing improvement after one use, but literally I use these glasses and my sleep is actually already pretty good. I used them for one day, and I have to say after one day, I had the best sleep of my life. I just felt so rested. So these glasses, they ship free and they're tracked for all orders anywhere in the world. And also they have all their frames come in prescription, non-prescription, and reading glasses. Plus you can send in your frames and they'll add the blue light blocking and green light blocking lenses to your frame. So this is an easy hack that you can add to your fertility toolkit. All you do is go to BlueBlocks, BLUBLOX.com. Use the coupon code GetPregnantPodcast at checkout and receive a 15% discount. That's BlueBlocks, BLUBLOX.com, and use the coupon code GetPregnantPodcast to receive your 15% discount. Hey there. Thanks so much for listening to the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast. And I've got a favor to ask you. If you are enjoying learning about the functional approach to fertility, consider going to iTunes and rating and reviewing the podcast. This is how it helps the show reach more people that are struggling with infertility, knowing that there's another approach that really can get to the bottom of why it's not working in the first place. So all you need to do is, if you're on the app or the desktop, just go in and consider leaving a 5-star rating and leave a review. And there is step-by-step instructions in the show notes showing you exactly how to do that. So if you can just take a few minutes, just take the few minutes right now. You can pause this recording, come back, leave the review. It would really mean the world to me and help others that are on the fertility journey as well. Take care. I didn't need to go to donor eggs. Obviously, I don't regret it. I have beautiful children. I could have done things differently, restored. I was still cycling back in my 20s. I could have looked at my health, the environmental toxins, the stress I was under.
Many women are being told their eggs are too old. That's often merely an assumption that's not based on actual evidence. The reason being that there is no direct test of egg quality. You can't test egg quality.
It's the man who's got a food sensitivity or he has a zinc deficiency.
Like, there can be a root cause to these symptoms that are, quote unquote, period problems, that the doctor will pass you a pill without any question of why.
And some part of you knows that if you can reframe your journey from not want to struggle, or if it is struggle, learn how to embrace the struggle. Learn how to embrace it.
Most conditions in the child occur during the 9 months of development. It's the genetic switches are turned on or turned off, and they're pre-programmed. So you are in such a powerful, amazing position to do amazing things for your kids.
Why is IVF the first step? Because we believe it should be the last step. Welcome to Get Pregnant Naturally, where functional medicine and natural fertility solutions will help you get pregnant and have your baby. Hey there, I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fab Fertile and your host. I believe the functional approach is the first step for anyone struggling with infertility, and my aim is to help you get pregnant naturally. Today we're digging into the biggest mistakes we see when hiring a local functional practitioner. This episode is for you if you love the functional approach and you are ready to get started, but you don't know which questions to ask your local practitioner to see if they will be a good fit. So definitely check out episode number 6 for a functional medicine 101 talk, plus a look at some of the tools we use to help couples conceive. Thanks so much for listening, and I'm so thankful that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe, and if you know someone else who is on the fertility journey, please share this podcast with them. I know that you're listening right now to this podcast because you want to get some tips on how to help improve your chances of success with getting pregnant naturally. That's why you're here. And the functional approach will allow you to actually address these healing opportunities and figure out why it's not working. So I know when I first found functional medicine, I was like, are you kidding me? I can't believe that no one told me about this approach. It was like mind blowing. And, I didn't discover it until years later. I had, as you may know, I had both my kids with donor eggs, and then years later discovered food sensitivities, gut infections, chronic stress. And then I didn't discover this till I was fully in menopause, and now really devoting our time and my business to helping couples with low AMH, high FSH, premature ovarian insufficiency failure, or diminished ovarian reserve, either get pregnant naturally, or if they do need to go to the clinic, improve their chances of success. Because I know the functional approach can really address these healing opportunities and get to the bottom of why it's not working, so we can improve your chances of pregnancy success. So if you're here right now listening to this podcast, I know that you are digging the functional approach. And if you decide you want to work with a local practitioner, I just want to give you some tips and things to some of the mistakes we see with picking a local practitioner if they don't have some of the criteria that can really help you fast track your success. So I wanted to give you some tips today for what to look out for. So the first thing we see is if you decide to go with a local person, is many times we see with a local functional practitioner is they may be having some outdated testing. We have access to functional testing, and we don't have any affiliation with any particular lab. We're taking the best tests that are available on the market. And the ones that we are doing as part of the Fab Fertile method, we're including a food sensitivity test, a hormone test using urine. We're looking at a stool test, looking at the DNA of your stool. And then we're looking at hair tissue mineral analysis testing. So sometimes we see when people have selected a local practitioner, they may be doing other tests that don't shift the needle as quickly as the test that we're recommending, or they could be taking some of those tests. Maybe the food sensitivity test that they're using is an older test and is not giving current information, not giving as detailed information as some of the testing that we're looking at, especially with stool testing too. We see people using stool tests that really, again, it can be missing some healing opportunities. So you're investing a lot of money in some of these testing, but it may not be giving the right information. So right now, the food sensitivity test that we like is the Zoomer test that is available typically in the US. In other parts of the world, we're looking at other testing, but in the States, we're looking at the Zoomer test. And that one is giving like an over 100-page report going into the minutia of, as it says, zooming into the minutia of gluten, of soy, corn, dairy, lectins, which are the skin on the fruits or vegetables, and really digging into that piece. So we are seeing people maybe doing outdated tests that don't give you the right information. And then you could be getting some false negatives. So saying, oh, you're fine with a specific food, and maybe you're actually not. That is what we're seeing with the food sensitivity testing. And then with the hormone testing, many times people are using saliva to check hormones. We are using, our test is using urine. So we see many people getting just not as detailed information that we're seeing. And we're using the Dutch test. It's a cutting edge test that really gives us the pathways that the hormones are going down, as far as looking at your cortisol, looking at your sex hormones, looking at your melatonin. And I've done many episodes. There's one episode I did with the medical director of Dutch, Dr. Carrie Jones. That's a really good episode to listen to. We talk about high FSH and low AMH in that episode. And then we're doing another podcast episode talking about the Dutch 101. So you can look at those to dig into, why we like the Dutch test. And then even if you are getting some of those tests, many times people are not experienced with reviewing the testing. So it is obviously important to make sure that you have a practitioner that is experienced with reviewing these tests. So, because sometimes we've had people that have had the Dutch test and being told everything's fine, but then it's not just looking at the Dutch test in isolation. It's also looking at the other tests that we're including in our method. So looking at the food sensitivity testing, looking at gut testing, so the stool testing, and looking at the hair tissue mineral analysis. So we see people being told everything is fine when we dig deeper, again, missed healing opportunities. And the other test we do is the GI map. I've done many episodes on stool testing, so you can check that out. But really, we're looking at the GI map is the best one in the market right now that we believe that will give us details on if there is any kind of infections, parasites, bacterial infections, worms. And so many other tests are just not giving the right information. Again, healing opportunities are missed. And the last one is hair tissue mineral analysis. Sometimes people aren't even doing this test. This one is it's quite an inexpensive test, but it really gives us some good data to figure out, do you have heavy metals? Are there some of your main minerals? Are they not in balance? And we can, make some diet and lifestyle changes to start to improve those. And again, I've done some in-depth podcast episodes on nutrient deficiencies and mineral imbalances and why it's important to address those. And we've gone through a hair tissue mineral analysis test in depth. So you can check that out. So that's kind of what we see with, they may not have up-to-date testing. So just something for you to look out for. Our motto here is test, don't guess. So we really believe in using the testing. It provides the foundation of the program, and then it helps you, take those targeted diet and lifestyle changes so then you can get pregnant naturally. So making sure that the local practitioner that you select has up-to-date testing would be something for you to dig into. That would be the first thing to look at. The second thing we have that we see when you're looking for a local practitioner is you want to make sure, do they offer coaching support? And this is where we see with a local practitioner, many times they may not have this. So we believe and know that the testing is only the beginning. You invest a lot of money in a significant investment in these tests, and then you need to then make the changes. So sort of having a coach to help you implement the diet and lifestyle changes. So you can really, a lot of this is to, hold you accountable, but to get you out of your own way, because some of these changes can be simple, but they're not easy. We're having you look at, all aspects of your life, mind, body, spirit. So does this local practitioner offer coaching to help you implement the issues they're seeing on the testing? And so, and this is what really makes our program very unique, that you have, first of all, you have a functional nutrition practitioner to help review the testing and then giving you that customized protocol. And then you have a fertility coach that helps you then, make these changes. And many times a local practitioner, depending on, their specialty, they may just not have the bandwidth or the time to coach you through these changes. And you may, depending on how many sessions you get, that's just not something that practitioner may have time. Some of them do have health coaches. So if they do, you can look for that. But what we've seen is that many of them don't have the time to actually coach you through the changes. And that's really, to me, that's where the rubber hits the road, right? And that's why we've included a coach in our program, because you can do as I said, you can do the testing, but if you don't actually implement these changes and with your partner. I see a lot of people that have, they've invested in testing for themselves, and the partner, the partner is always supportive, or typically, generally, most of them are supportive, but they may not know what the changes they can be doing, that can be done. And so even though we've got a partner coming in telling us that, his semen analysis is totally fine, it may be fine in the conventional parameters. And we're seeing actually, we're looking at parameters for blood and for semen in functional reference ranges. So they're for healthy people. And so even though you can be told everything's fine, in the functional side of things, it may not be optimal. Always things to dig into with the partner. And that's why we include the partner in the program. So, does the functional practitioner that you're working with, or the local practitioner, do they include your partner? Is your partner looking at testing? Is your partner doing the diet changes with you? Because we strongly believe that, as you change your diet and lifestyle, it is not about you just making these changes. Otherwise you become this short order cook, and you're cooking one thing, he's cooking something else, and it kind of divides you a bit. And so this is to have you guys on the same page and making these changes together. So making sure that the local practitioner that you select had some sort of coaching support for you. This is really that helps you fast track your progress and really, addressing any kind of hurdles ahead of time. So then you don't get in your own way, and you can actually start seeing success. The next one we have is people will look for a local practitioner, and many times they think because they're local that they will be able to answer questions that arise in between sessions. The question to dig into here, do they have an open door policy? And so we see that a lot where they're like, okay, I'm going to have a local person. I'll be able just to, to pop in. Now, obviously in the middle of COVID is when we're recording this. Popping in some places, or it's not even possible. Everything is becoming, via Zoom. So is there email access? If you have questions, like how long is it taking for questions, people to get back to you? Because what we have found is that, there's a lot of questions actually in between the sessions. That's where things people can kind of think about, or once you get the testing and then the protocol, and then it's kind of like, oh, wait, what, there's questions that will arise, a lot of nutrition questions, and then a lot of questions about maybe, making some of these changes can be hard. And so having support with that. The question to look for when you're looking for a local functional medicine practitioner, does this person have an open door policy? Can you answer, do they answer questions? And as we found, there's a lot of questions in between sessions. And so in our program, we have email access. You have a secure message portal. So in between sessions, you have someone that'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours, Monday to Friday, and really a secure message portal that's going to contain all your questions. So you can actually you can see them all in the portal in there, because a lot of times in email, they can get lost. And so a secure message portal to get your questions answered by your team of your fertility coach and nutrition practitioner. And so that's something for you to look into too, even though we think if someone's local, we feel that we'll be able to pop in and just easily ask questions, making sure that actually is the case when you're looking at a local practitioner. So to dig into that. And since you're here right now, and I know, as we talked at the beginning, I know you are loving the functional medicine approach or the functional approach. So then we are like, let's look for a local functional doctor or a local functional practitioner, whatever you may feel is right for you. And so what we've seen, and really the most important question to ask your local functional medicine practitioner is, are they a fertility expert? I'm in a mastermind group actually of a lot of functional doctors. And most people that have come to that, what I found with speaking with them, most people that have come to this field, they've had their own kind of dark night of the soul and healing crisis where, their health has been impacted. And then they found the functional side of things and went, oh my goodness, what's this? And then ended up changing their whole practice. We actually work with a lot of people that in the healthcare field, doctors and nurses that are struggling with infertility. And then when they come work with us, they end up then changing how they practice. So it is kind of it's usually, the practitioner comes along, finds this, and then has their own healing journey and wants to help others. So the thing to ask in this though, are they an expert in fertility? Do they work with fertility day in and day out? Because there's a lot of, general functional medicine practitioners out there, who will, they have access to the testing and they'll take a functional approach. They're going to look for root causes and why disease is there in the first place, or what, missed healing opportunities. So they're going to look at all of that. But then are they looking at people that are dealing with infertility on a regular basis, because we believe it's a mind, body, spirit approach with people that are on the fertility journey. And we can do all the testing, develop that customized protocol, get you on the right, address the food sensitivities, so get you on the right diet, look at the gut infections, address, gut infections, look at environmental toxins. So talked a lot about on the podcast, looking at like your personal care products, making sure that those are not toxic, the water that you're drinking, the air that you're breathing, the EMFs, so the electromagnetic frequency that you're exposed to, Wi-Fi, your phone, and more, environmental toxins. How are those impacting you? And then the mental, emotional stress. It's important to dig into those things. Also the mindset too. People dealing with infertility, like you and I, I experienced it, as I said in the very beginning. And it's a unique set of experiences because you feel, everyone else is moving on with their lives while you're stuck here trying to move on and have your family and either primary or secondary infertility. And so I believe having someone that's experienced that pain can be very helpful to help you navigate this journey. So the question to look for of a local practitioner, do they work with fertility day in and day out? So they're looking at the diet, they're looking at the supplements, the mental, emotional support of this, and also the spiritual side of things. Many people come to me that have had multiple failed IVFs, multiple failed IUIs, been trying for years, and almost, they've found the functional side of things because they didn't even know this was here. And now they're ready to make the changes. And it can still feel, even though, well-meaning RE or OBGYN may have told you that, you're going to struggle, that you can only, donor eggs are your only option. So those kind of things can be embedded in your subconscious and really maybe feeling hopeless. So as I say, we believe in the mind, body, spirit approach. So making sure that the local functional medicine practitioner specializes in fertility is key. And because you can do the testing, but if you've missed the spiritual and the mindset and really what it's like to go through infertility, that piece, feeling heard and listened to by someone who understands. Obviously we can't be in your shoes. It helps people being able to recognize the trauma. And if you identify it as trauma, it is trauma. Recognize the trauma and the pain, and then be able to move forward. That's something to ask. Is the local practitioner an expert in fertility? So just to summarize again, if you've decided that the functional approach is for you, you're like, yep, I am down with this method, and I want to, find a local practitioner, because that's what you're thinking of doing. You want to make sure that the tests they're using, that they have up-to-date tests, that they have coaching. So they have coaching support to actually help you implement these changes with your partner. It's not just you, investing in the testing. It's got you guys doing it together. Do they have an open door policy? If you've got questions, will they be able to answer them in a timely manner? And, or do you need to have another session? Is there extra fee for these questions? What kind of support in between sessions? Because that's where the juicy stuff happens. That's where, when you're able to reflect on what it is you've received in a call or a meeting with your practitioner afterwards, many questions come up. We see it all the time. And then last but not least are they a fertility expert? So they could be a functional medicine practitioner, but are they an expert in fertility? Of course, if you are ready to work with our method, so the Fab Fertile method, we work with couples worldwide. I love the fact that this is all on Zoom and we don't need to, leave our house. We ship our test worldwide, and really it's, convenient that you and your partner can jump on a call with your fertility coach, with your functional nutrition practitioner. You have access to, our secure message portal for questions in between. And you're able to, using the functional approach, we will drop ship your test kits to you. They're sent back to the lab, and then your nutrition practitioner reviews them. You get your protocol, and then you start making those changes with the support of your coach. At the end of the program, you'll either be happily pregnant, or if you do need to go to the fertility clinic, you'll dramatically improve your chances of success. So many times people kind of say, what's the fast method? I do believe wholeheartedly that the functional approach is the fast track to your success. your body is desperately trying to tell you something. And this really addresses the healing opportunities with that targeted approach, with the testing, and then, the mind, body, spirit approach being able to then help you implement the changes. Cause some of those, as I said, can be simple, but not easy. And as you may know, we specialize in tough cases like low AMH, high FSH, premature ovarian insufficiency or failure, and diminished ovarian reserve. So if you are ready to get pregnant and have your baby in 2021, and you're ready to take a targeted functional approach with our method, then you can just go to Fab Fertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on book a free call. That's Fab Fertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on book a free call. I regularly speak with 5 to 10 couples per week who are struggling to have their baby. And although we want to help everyone, we only have 4 spots available per month to work with us. I would like to invite you and your partner to a Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call. And this call is for you if you meet at least one of these criteria. You've been trying to get pregnant for at least 2 years. You've been through at least one failed IUI or IVF. This calls for action takers. If you're not ready and you wait, the risk is you'll need to wait 2 to 3 months for a spot to open up. If you're seriously considering working with us, go to Fab Fertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on book a free call. That's Fab Fertile, F-A-B Fertile, and click on book a free call. Then you'll be all booked in and ready to spend 30 minutes to give you the action plan to getting pregnant naturally. Melatonin is important for female fertility. It helps regulate hormones and maintain the body's circadian rhythms. Plus, it helps determine the frequency and duration of the menstrual cycle. Plus, it impacts sperm count and motility. Blue and green light negatively impact our melatonin production. That's why we recommend Blue Blocks, blue and green light sleep classes to all our one-to-one clients. Simply go to Blue Blocks, BLUBLOX.com, and use the coupon code GetPregnantPodcast at checkout to receive your 15% discount. That's BlueBlocks, BLUBLOX.com, and use the coupon code GetPregnantPodcast. The Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, including show notes and links, provides information with respect to healthy living, nutrition, lab testing, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice and always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.